Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity to say a few words on this all-important event today. And as we might have heard, and I think you've had quite an exciting morning, I caught just the tail end of the panel that has just stepped off. And I'm afraid I might be a bit boring because listening to the conversation earlier, I would have rather stayed as an observer. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start on a note that says, among other things, in order for us to build our economy, to take our country forward, we need confidence. Confidence is indeed a step in the right direction, but not just confidence. Government also needs to deliver on reforms, as we have heard in this panel, if we hope to allow that confidence to translate into jobs and investment for the private sector. Both government and the private sector need to leverage both technology and youth if we hope to sustainably meet the growth target of our National Development Plan. A great deal of exciting work is being done. The critical thing is to synergize and collaborate so that the whole is more than the sum of all the parts. This is what the Chief Executive's initiative and the formation of the YES initiative represent and why they are receiving our wholehearted support. As I said, confidence is a good start, but it needs action to be sustained. Let me talk to some of those areas that I call action points. As we know, there's a large potential in the South African economy. The rebound in confidence and the potential for replacement investment has set the stage for an improvement in growth. The 2018 budget review projected growth at 1.5%, mainly due to improved confidence. But there can be no room for complacency. The disappointing contraction in the first quarter of 2.2% reminds us that there is much more to be done and that the risks to growth remain high. The contraction in the first quarter means that upward revisions to our growth focus by many public and private sector economists and multilateral institutions such as the IMF will have to be revisited. Indeed, we have structural challenges that we need to address. Youth unemployment in particular remains too high at 55%. Our entrepreneurship levels are worryingly low. We rank only 27th out of 54 countries in Africa in total early entrepreneurship activity. We do not have enough small businesses in our country. In fact, there are many of them have actually declined. Between 2008 and 2016, the number of manufacturing SMEs is down by 24.8%. Over the same period, the number of SMEs in the country only grew by 3.2% over 8 years. And the cost structure of our economy remains too high, from broadband, as we've had, the transportation and regulation, making it very difficult for smaller firms to enter and compete against large players. We face challenges in upskilling our people to meet the needs of business and the fourth industrial revolution. Over 30% of those who have not completed secondary education find themselves out of work. Once you have been excluded from the labor market, it is very difficult for you to get back in. And we need to manage an increasingly tumultuous global environment with international geopolitical uncertainty, trade tensions, and a gradual tightening of monetary policy in some developed countries, leading to a potentially difficult operating environment. But I submit, ladies and gentlemen, it's not all doom and gloom. We have the nascent talent and skills to resolve these challenges. For example, we know that job search costs are very high for young people. The lowest wage earners in urban areas pay up to 40% of their income in transport costs. We also know that over 70% of our non-searching youth indicated their location constrained them from looking for work. Now we have a number of programs. One of them is Harambee, which is supported by the Jobs Fund, has actually been working on the use of IT and telephony to link potential employers with job seekers. Harambee's project recently won the Global CX Game Changer Award by Genesis for being a trailblazer in customer experience innovation internationally. A huge success and the first time award for an African-based company. Transport costs can also be overcome with the technology as evidenced by the A2Pay project supported through the Jobs Fund also. This allows local entrepreneurs to sell prepaid products to informal settlement, peri-urban and rural consumers, thereby creating a community incentive for the unemployed to earn a sustainable income. This project reduces the need for rural people to travel to urban centers to buy prepaid products such as electricity and airtime. The first project created 3,118 permanent jobs and 3,121 persons benefited from work-related training. The use of technology to provide relatively cheap and relevant information for young people utilizing free online content is another tool to help harness the benefits of technology. This is a fundamental underpinning of the YES initiative, collaborating with Harambee and many other service providers such as Microsoft to try and maximize the impact. The other one is the CCI Career Box initiative, a skills development catalyst which uses technology to source, recruit, and train and place large groups of candidates into employment within a period of 2 to 6 weeks. In its first 15 months of implementation, the project created 1,409 new permanent jobs and placed 811 beneficiaries in vacant permanent positions with project partners. Further to this, 2,974 beneficiaries completed training, which includes both contact center and product-specific training. And there's an encouraging shift in how we are viewing our unemployed, not as a problem, but as a resource that with the right training and access to opportunities can contribute to economic growth. And they are not merely potential employees, but creators of businesses. When we work together, we multiply the effects. From government's perspectives, it is critical that we leverage the strengths of all social partners to make the whole greater than the sum of all the parts. In his inaugural State of the Nation address, our President Cyril Ramaphosa called on all of us to catalyze new investment that would create employment, reduce poverty and inequality, and transform our economy. This occurs in practice too. The momentum of collaboration demonstrated by the CEO initiative, successfully averting further ratings downgrades, and the formation of the YES initiative can and must be built upon. These two examples demonstrate how effective the solutions to some of our most challenging problems can be when social partners work together. The design of Government Small Business and Innovation Fund with an initial allocation of 1 billion rands has been intended to focus on an area in the market that is underserviced, the startup phase. This should complement the work of the CEO Initiative's SME Fund and also leverage on the strengths of the many excellent incubators to be found in universities such as Wits and Stellenbosch. Now there's another initiative, Tsepo 1 Million, which is an innovative and collaboration between business, communities, provincial and national government to accelerate youth employment. The YES initiative is built on this premise too. YES is intended to create new opportunities for young people by business, creating work experience over and above what they need. This is a huge stamp of social commitment which government has sought to recognize, both through the employment tax incentive and proposed BEE recognition. What is exciting at its heart is the focus on collaborating, pulling together not only private sector players, but also government departments, such as the public employment services. This informs the ambitious target of 1 million jobs over the next 3 years. Now, government understands that it must play its part. We therefore need to maintain fiscal sustainability to ensure a stable platform for growth. This is part of the very difficult job that government has been involved in, trying to find trade-offs across the many spending priorities that we have. If we do not, however, contain expenditure, we're going to spend increasing amounts on interest costs, threatening service delivery. Government recognizes that strengthening good governance and acting against corruption is crucial to rebuilding both the sustainability of and trust in state-owned entities that can not only lower fiscal, but also contribute to faster growth. Now, government is keenly aware of some of the key constraints to growth and is redoubling its efforts to enact reforms that unlock productivity, increase competition, and lower the cost of doing business. The National Treasury estimates that should the global environment remain supportive, the effective implementation of reforms in the areas such as agriculture, competition policy, telecoms, tourism, and others could add up to 2 to 3 percentage points to real GDP growth over the coming decade. We understand just how important it is to get ICT right to promote inclusive growth, to improve service delivery and reduce poverty. Research that has been done by the department shows that 50% of reduction in ICT costs can increase GDP growth by 0.3 percentage points per year to create over 200,000 additional jobs over the next decade. If that isn't a motivator to spectrum allocation, I'm not sure what it is. The renewed focus on implementation and on delivering on promises can be demonstrated in the gains made in structural reforms since the beginning of the year, including via efforts to shore up governance in key state-owned entities such as Eskom, Nene, and SAA. We have the opportunity here to really make the change we need. The exciting thing about the Job Summit, the upcoming Job Summit, and the YES and the other platforms that the President has urged us to work with, is that we have the opportunity to focus on change for the better. We need to ensure that conversations such as the one that we're having today are reflected in those solutions. We need to harness technology and our youth, and we need to deliver concrete actions to the President, building on our successes rather than just trying to fix what is not working. So South Africa's positives, if I were to go back to that, include, among others, comparatively good government for business, relatively strong institutions, credible macroeconomic policy, and well-developed and deep capital markets. We must work together to mitigate the risk in an increasingly technologically driven world, but do so in a manner that also allows us to reap the benefits offered by new technologies and new markets which create new and more productive jobs. Services sectors such as ICT and financial services, including the business processing outsourcing, are but a few examples exhibiting the potential for material labor-absorbing future growth. We need you, though, to make it work, the private sector, as you account for nearly 2/3 of total investment in nearly 80% of total formal sector employment. We cannot hope to ignite growth and employment without you. I know, ladies and gentlemen, that you are committed, and I hope you are excited. It's for that reason that you're here, and I know we are, and together we can make it. Thank you very much for your attention.